When you were 5, a single summer felt like a lifetime. You remember every pool day, every firefly, every popsicle. Now you're 30 and entire years vanish. You look up and it's December again, and you can barely recall what happened in March. This isn't laziness. It isn't burnout. Your brain is running a program that's been rewriting your relationship with time since the day you were born. Most people think they know the answer. It's the proportionate theory. When you're 5, 1 year is 20% of your entire life. When you're 50, 1 year is 2%. The math checks out. And honestly, it's not wrong. But it's not the real reason either. Because if it were just math, then your vacation last summer should have felt the same length as your childhood summers. They didn't. A week at the beach felt like 3 days. 2 weeks in Europe felt like a long weekend. The proportionate theory can't explain why different experiences at the same age feel different lengths. Something else is happening. In 2007, a neuroscientist named David Eagleman ran an experiment that changed how we think about time perception. He dropped people backward from a 150-foot tower into a safety net, the kind of free fall that lasts 2.5 seconds. Before the drop, he showed participants a device called a perceptual chronometer, a screen displaying numbers that changed so fast they were impossible to read under normal conditions. His hypothesis was simple. If fear slows down time, then people in freefall should be able to read the numbers. The results were strange. Participants in freefall couldn't read the numbers faster than anyone else. Their brains weren't actually processing information more quickly. But when asked afterward how long the fall lasted, they estimated it was 36% longer than it actually was. Their brains weren't speeding up. They were recording more. The fall felt longer because their brains encoded more detail than usual. Fear triggered a survival response. More detail meant more data. More data meant more to remember. And more memories stretched the experience in hindsight. This is the key. Time doesn't speed up or slow down. Your brain decides how much to record. When you're a child, almost everything is new. Your first snow, your first time tasting honey, your first argument with a friend. Your brain treats these moments like emergencies. It writes everything down, high resolution, maximum detail. A single afternoon can contain dozens of firsts, and each one gets its own memory. When you look back, that afternoon feels enormous. Now think about last Tuesday. What did you do? You probably can't remember without struggling, because nothing new happened. You did the same thing you did the day before, and the day before that. Your brain looked at Tuesday and decided there was nothing worth saving. It compressed the entire day into a single forgettable file. That's why it feels like it never happened. This is where it gets deeper. In 2016, a study published in the journal Science by Dr. Jorge Moll and colleagues tested how dopamine affects time perception. Dopamine is the chemical your brain releases when something feels new, exciting, or worth paying attention to. Children have high baseline dopamine levels. Everything feels novel. Everything gets recorded. As you age, your brain becomes more selective. It releases dopamine only for things that break pattern. And here's the problem. Your patterns get stronger every year. By the time you're 30, you've done most things thousands of times. You've driven to work, you've made coffee, you've sat in meetings, you've cooked dinner. Your brain recognizes these patterns instantly and stops recording. You're on autopilot, not because you're lazy, because your brain is efficient. Efficiency is the enemy of time perception. Think about a holiday. When you travel somewhere new, every moment is unfamiliar. Your brain has no pattern to match it to, so it records everything. The street you walked down, the food you tasted, the stranger you talked to. When you get home, you look back at those 2 weeks and they feel rich, full, detailed. But when you think about the 2 weeks before the holiday, when you were at home doing the same routine, there's almost nothing there. Same duration, completely different experience, because your brain was recording one and ignoring the other. This is the holiday paradox, and it's not just about holidays, it's about every single day of your life. The more familiar your routine, the less your brain records. The less it records, the shorter the time feels in retrospect. The years blur together not because they're going faster, but because fewer and fewer moments are being saved. And here's what nobody tells you. This isn't a flaw, it's a feature. Your brain evolved in a world where survival depended on efficiency. You didn't need to remember every walk to the river. You needed to remember the one time a lion was waiting there. So your brain learned to ignore the routine and highlight the exception. The problem is that modern life is almost entirely routine. You commute the same way. You eat similar meals. You see the same people. Your brain looks at your week and finds almost nothing worth saving. A month passes and it feels like a day. A year passes and it feels like a month. Not because time is moving faster, but because you're living on autopilot and your brain is protecting you from recording what it considers redundant. But this also means the solution is simpler than you think. Novelty is the antidote. When you do something new, your brain wakes up. It starts recording again, a different route to work, a new recipe, a conversation with a stranger, a skill you've never tried. These moments break pattern. Your brain treats them like events. They get saved. And when you look back, that day feels longer. Not because you added hours, but because you added life. Your childhood didn't feel long because you were young. It felt long because you were alive in a way you haven't been since. Every moment was a first. Every day was a story worth telling. You didn't have more time, you had more attention, and attention is the only currency that time actually runs on. The years aren't speeding up. You're just forgetting to record them. And the strange thing is, you already know this, because the moments that felt longest were never the ones where you were doing nothing. They were the ones where something surprised you. Something broke the pattern. Something made your brain say, wait, this matters, pay attention, and you did. That's why you still remember it. So the question isn't how to get more time. It's how to stop letting your brain decide which moments deserve to exist. Because every unrecorded day is a day that never happened, and you've already lost enough of those.